So it's a beautiful cold day here in Cleveland, Ohio, Thanksgiving morning. I decided to come out here and work on this patch panel again. So the way I'm going to start tackling it from here is I'm going to put a sheet metal screw here and in these two places to hold down my patch panel, and I'll continue forming the drain hole with a chisel. Once that's complete, I'm going to cut this out, form this little dented area here a little bit better, make sure I get that nice and tight. Then I'm going to tack weld this into place in a few spots. After I tack weld it, I'm going to cut this whole area here out so I can get to the lower cowl panel, which is the patch that we initially started out to do. And I've decided the way I'm going to tackle it is I'm going to weld this while it's off the car, while it's in one piece off the car. The reason I want to do that is because I'd like to get the underside of it nice and sealed with some rust bullet. I just feel like it's not going to be sealed properly if I put this back on the car and then try painting it afterward. And if I have to weld it while it's in place, it's going to have bare metal underneath there. So that's how I'm going to work it. So I put my sheet metal screws in it, and I knocked my lip down with my chisel to get it a lot closer to the drain hole form. Now we'll talk about how I'm going to actually cut this upper cowl panel to fit this patch panel into it. I use a 4-inch grinder with everything that I do, and I see this patch panel is going to come down the thickness of the steel at least. So if I take a grinder and I grind it right at the base here, what's going to happen is this is going to drop the thickness of my wheel. And that's going to make a perfect fit from top to bottom. As for the width, when I cut it here and here, what I'm looking at is this is going to fold down a little bit more, which is going to push this panel toward the front of the car. So I think that I'll get a decent fit. Even if you have a little bit of a gap, your weld's going to fill it up. Like I said before, you should definitely be able to weld at least an 1/8 inch or less easily, which is what we already saw these gaps here are. So as you can see, I did my initial cuts with my 4-inch grinder. You can see the gap's not too bad. Now I'm going to pull the patch panel off and continue cutting that out. So it's cut out, not cleaned up yet. Still has some corners and a few things that need to be finessed, but it's cut out. Panel sits in place fairly decent, I guess. Still have to fix that little bitty dent and do a little bit of finessing with the steel, finessing with the upper cowl panel, and it should fit really close. I'm going to make a tad bit of a cut right here, clean that up, little aesthetics, although no one's ever going to see it, and we'll get it tacked in there after we clean up all this surface rust. So we cleaned it up a bit. I've got it sitting up there with a heavy magnet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tack welding. Probably pop one right here in the radius, another one here, another couple over in this area, definitely one on this radius. We're going to have to do a little forming after tack. This sits in here really nice on this corner. Makes me very happy. Hardest part's going to be right here. There's a lot of strength in this joint. So forming this afterward is going to be a little bit of a task, not much. I'm going to radius off this corner for the upper cowl, on the upper cowl should I say, and maybe pull it up a bit. You see there was a little bit of sink that we got right here when I removed all the initial steel. But all in all, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way it's turning out. So here's the patch panel after spot weld. Went together pretty good. Decent fit. After seeing how big the air intake is on the lower cowl panel, I believe I'm going to cut it back all the way to here in the cross, just so I can get a good look at the area that I need to patch underneath. So here it is cut out. There's a piece I removed. Good thing is, there's enough room to get my hands around here, so I can work anything I need to get this fixed. And I've got enough room to weld the top back in. As you can see, top stayed intact. Clean it up. Clean up the bottom. Put some rust bullet on it. And hopefully get this bad boy done within a day. So what I want to do now is I want to give you all the measurements that I am taking for the air intake on the lower cowl assembly. I've got 11 inches to the front of the air intake from the back end of the lower base panel. There's a flat cut here to clear the upper cowl panel. You're looking at about 2 5/8 for the height of the front of the upper air intake, or should I say the outer side. One 3/8 to the inner edge. And you're going to have to take my word for this. You're looking at around 6 inches for the opening on the lower piece of sheet metal. After removing the air intake, I was happy to see and realize that 90% of my work I'm going to be able to do from the top. Easy access. I'll be able to grind all this and all this up to decent metal from the top. And I should be able to form my new piece of sheet metal right here from the top as well. It makes me very happy because originally I thought at least 70% of this work was going to be done from underneath, which is tight quarters, as you already know.